I'm trying to see what it means to be serious. The intent, the urge, the feeling of total responsibility, the feeling of action, the doing, not I will do. All that is implied in that word seriousness. At least I put all those things into that word.
Could we look for a moment at one of them that,
yes.
You put into them, responsibility. Able to be responsive.
That's right. To respond adequately.
Yes, to respond adequately.
To any challenge. The challenge now is that the world is in a mess, confusion, sorrow and violent, all that. I must, as a human being who has created this thing, I must respond adequately. The adequacy depends on my seriousness in that sense, on my observation of the chaos and responding not according to my prejudices, my inclination or tendencies or pleasures or fears, but responding to the problem, not according to my translation of the problem.
Yes, I'm just thinking, as you're speaking, about how difficult it is to communicate this to the person who is thinking that the way adequately to respond to this chaos is to have a plan for it, which one superimposes on it.
So
and that's exactly what we assume.
Exactly.
And if the plan doesn't work out, we blame ourselves.
Or
and we
change
say,
the plan.
Or we change the plan. Yes.
But we don't respond to the challenge.
No.
We respond according to our conclusion about the problem.
Exactly.
Therefore, it means really, sir, if you can explore it a little more, the observer is the observed.
Therefore, the change, if it comes, is total, not partial.
Yes.
One is no longer outside what he is operating upon.
That's right.
And what he is operating upon is not outside himself.
Because, as we said yesterday, it's very interesting if you go into it rather deeply. The world is me, I am the world. That's not an intellectual or emotional, but a fact. Now, when I approach the problem, the chaos, the misery, the suffering, the violence, all that, I approach it with my conclusions, with my fears, with my despairs. I don't look at the problem.
Well, would you think it possible to put it this way, that one doesn't make room for the problem?
Yes, put it in a way.
Would that be all right?
Yes. So let's look at this. As a human being, one has created this misery, which is called the society in which we live.
Mm-hmm.
An immoral society. Mm-hmm.
Oh, yes.
Completely immoral. As a human being, one has created that. But that human being, looking at it, separates himself and says, I must do something about it. The it is me.
Mm-hmm. Some people respond to that this way. They say, well, look, if I'm truly serious, I'm truly responsible, I make this act, and there comes between me and the world this confluent relationship, which is total. All the things that are going on out there that are atrocious, let's say 2,500 miles away from where I am, don't stop. Therefore, how can I say that the whole world is me and I am the whole world? This objection comes up again and again. I'm interested to know what your reply to that would be.
Look, we are human beings irrespective of our labels. English, French, German, all the rest of it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
A human being living in America or in India has the problems of relationship, of suffering, of jealousy, envy, greed, ambition, imitation, conformity, and all that are our problems, common to both of us.
Yes.
And when I say the world is me and the world, me is the world and the world I am, I see that as a reality, not as a concept.
Mm-hmm.
Now, my responsibility to the challenge, to be adequate, must be not in terms of what I think, but what the problem is.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yes, I follow you, I'm sure, here. I was thinking while you were saying that, that it might have been possible to answer the question that I posed, and I'm posing the question simply because I know some persons who might very well view this, who would raise that and want to participate with us in this conversation. I wondered whether you might have said that as soon as one puts it that way, one has already divorced himself.
That's right.
From the issue. That in the practical order, that question is an interposition that simply does not have a place in the activity that you are talking about.
Yes, that's right.
This is very interesting because it means that the person must suspend his disbelief.
Or his belief.
Or his belief.
Yes. And observe the thing.
And observe the thing.
Which is not possible if the observer is different from the observed.
Now, would you explore the practical aspect of this with me for a moment? People will say, who up to this point are listening, it would seem, people at this point will say, well, yes, but I can't stop it. I think I have an intuition of what you mean, they'll say. But the minute that I open myself, or begin to open myself, all these things seem to rush in on me. What I had hoped doesn't seem to take place. If I understand you correctly, they're really not doing what they claim that they're trying to do.
That's right. So can we put this question differently? What is a human being to do confronted with this problem of suffering, chaos, all that is going on around us?
Yes.
What is he to do? he approaches it generally with a conclusion. What he should do about it.
And this conclusion is interposed between him...
The conclusion is the factor of separation.
Right.
Now, can he observe the fact of this confusion without any conclusions, without any planning, without any predetermined way of getting out of this chaos? Because his determined conclusions, ideas and so on are all derived from the past. And the past is trying to resolve the problem.
Yes, yes.
And therefore he is translating it and acting according to his previous conclusions, whereas the fact demands that you look at it. The fact demands that you observe it, that you listen to it. The fact itself will have the answer. Not, you don't have to bring the answer to it. I wonder if I'm making myself clear.
Yes, I'm listening very, very hard. I really am. I'm afraid if I'm not going beyond where I haven't yet begun, the next question that would naturally arise here, or perhaps you might feel when I raise the question that it's the wrong question, but can one communicate in the sense that we have been unraveling this? One says, I don't know. It doesn't seem to me that I've done this. One says, I haven't done this yet. I can recognize all the things that have been described that are terrible. I don't recognize all the things that appear to be promised, without suggesting that I am imagining them or projecting them out there. Clearly, if there's to be a change, it has to be a change that's altogether radical.
Yeah.
Now, I must start.
So
what do I do?
There are two things involved, aren't there? First, I must learn from the problem, which means I must have a mind that has a quality of humility. It doesn't come to it, says, I know all about it. What he knows is merely explanations, rational or irrational. He comes to the problem with rational or irrational solutions. Therefore, he is not learning from the problem. The problem will reveal an infinite lot of things if I'm capable of looking at it and learning about it. And for that I must have a sense of humility. I'm saying, I don't know. This is a tremendous problem. Let me look at it. Let me learn about it. Not I come to it with my conclusions. Therefore I'll stop learning about the problem.
Are you suggesting that this act is a waiting on the problem to reveal itself?
That's right. Therefore, I must be capable of looking at it. I cannot look at it if I come to it with ideas, with ideations, with meditations of all very kind and conclusions. I must come to it and say, look, what is it? Not learn, or I must learn from it, not learn according to some professor, some psychologist, some philosopher.
that one has the capacity for this. Some persons would
I don't even know. Sir, we are so vain.
But this doesn't mean anything for the doing of what must be done, that there's a capacity.
No. The learning is the doing.
Exactly. Yes, yes. I wanted to make that clear because we comfort ourselves with the curious notion, if I've been following you, that we possess a possibility, and because we possess the possibility, we think that someday it will actualize itself, perhaps.
Quite.
But if I'm correct both ways, no possibility can actualize itself, and in the practical order that never occurs. But somehow it's believed, isn't it?
I'm afraid it is.
It is believed.
So it is really quite simple. There is this misery, confusion, immense sorrow in the world, violence, all that. Human beings have created it. Human beings have built a structure of society which sustains this chaos. That's a fact. Now, I come to it, a human being comes to it, trying to resolve it according to his plan, according to his prejudices, his idiosyncrasies or knowledge. Why? Which means he has already understood the problem. Whereas the problem is always new. So I must come to it afresh.